What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining us today for the third episode of the Not Five Guys podcast. I am your host, Siraj. So like we have said before, if you've joined us for our first two episodes, we're 5 USC grads. We love sports. We love talking. We combine the two. Now we're talking about sports. We're spreading our thoughts and ideas. And yeah, that's a way to start, isn't it, Nico? You like that one?
I couldn't imagine just if
bold.
you put together sports and talking.
Hey, that's what we did. And we enjoyed doing it.
Listen to this podcast if you want your IQ to go up 25 points.
Well, we went to USC, so that means we're smart, right?
Well, not according to Kyle Lowry.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, Kyle Lowry went to Villanova. That doesn't count. Also, none of us paid our way to admission, so we're going to put that disclaimer out now. But today, we're basically going to be talking about some NBA midseason recaps, the NBA All-Star Game, and we're going to be sprinkling in some baseball with talk about the big Mookie Betts trade, and I will actually be speaking out publicly regarding my Houston Astros and that sign-stealing fallout. So you definitely won't want to miss that. But before we get into everything for our show today, let's quickly introduce ourselves.
What it do? I'm Kevin.
What's up? I'm Nikhil.
How's it going, guys? It's Phil.
And I'm Jerry.
And of course, I'm your host, Siraj. That's our squad. That's who we are. Hopefully, you're a little bit more familiar with us by now. But we're going to start off today with a trade that has changed the landscape of baseball a little bit, taking the Los Angeles Dodgers to the clear NL favorites and a serious World Series contender. Jerry, what do you think about this trade?
Dodgers have a shot of winning the World Series, but, as a Yankees fan, I'm still picking the New York Yankees winning all the way. They might have Mookie Betts, David Price, get it from the Red Sox trade, and the Red Sox get Alex Verdugo, two random guys, Jeter Downs and Connor Wong. Red Sox not going to win the division. Yankees going to win the division easily. Dodgers might have a good lineup, but Yankees also have a good lineup. So, I think the Yankees will still win the World Series. And also, Dodgers get the guy that Twins have, a lot of injury history, Guerrero guy, the reliever pitcher, and compensatory pick in 2020 draft, and one minor league player. So that trade is not going to be a huge impact. And Twins getting Kenta Maeda is not going to change the Yankees. Twins got swept last year by the Yankees, so getting Kenta Maeda that can help there, just not good enough. And another guy on the Dodgers, Jock Peterson, he was supposed to be traded, but the Dodgers didn't trade him because something went wrong in the trade probably. But I think they will still trade Jock Peterson because he doesn't really want to play there now. He got traded twice, but he's still on the team. So he will get traded. I just don't know what the Dodgers will get. But looking forward to our AL and NL division prediction sooner in our podcast.
Hey, all that Yankees talk, and you don't even mention Jeter Downs was named after Derek Jeter?
Exactly.
Come on.
And Jeter Downs is not a nobody. That's a top prospect in baseball playing shortstop. So that's definitely not a nobody.
He's just a prospect, man.
Everybody starts out as just a prospect.
I mean, he's played with the Red Sox, so I'm not going to like him. So,
if you're Jeter, you should be playing with, the Yankees.
He didn't have a choice. He got traded. That's the whole point of a trade. You don't have a choice unless you're in the NBA. But that's really bold, Jerry, to think that the Yankees are still clear-cut favorites, because I think that Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, you've got David Price, Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Max Muncy.
You still have Jock Peterson.
True. You also still have Jock Peterson.
You still do.
So I don't know. You've got Kenley Jansen closing the door. I don't think any NL team is really looking forward to playing the Dodgers right now. So,
hey, that's what they said every year about the Dodgers for the past 3-4 years, and they haven't won a chip.
It's their year. It's their year, Jerry.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the Dodgers are feeling really confident, and if I'm playing in baseball right now, I'd be scared of them. Moving on, let's talk about some NBA season recaps. So we're going to focus specifically on two teams and the interesting roads that they have taken to becoming legit playoff teams, the Miami Heat and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'll start off by talking about the Thunder. So just a little recap about how they got to the start of the season. So they traded Paul George for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, and the Clippers' first-round pick in 2022, 2024, 2026, and 2 first-round choices via Miami in 2021 and 2023. So that was a huge trade when they traded away Paul George for that return. And then right after that, they decided to make another blockbuster trade when they traded Russell Westbrook for Chris Paul, a first-round pick in 2024, 2026, a 2025 pick swap, and a 2021 pick swap, both of those with the Rockets. So they made 2 huge franchise-altering trades, and then they were only projected to win 32 games before the season started. They're now sitting at 32 wins already. So they traded away their franchise cornerstone and another MVP candidate in both Paul George and Russell Westbrook. Now they're sitting with Chris Paul, a bunch of other surrounding pieces, and they're already at 32 wins in the playoff picture and playing extremely well. So now fast forward to where we are today. The Thunder are led by Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Dennis Schroeder as a 3-headed guard piece that they run out. And their supporting cast consists of Danilo Gallinari and Steven Adams. They had won 9 of their last 10 until they lost to the Celtics late last week. And they're the 6th seed in the playoffs right now. They're projected to actually get up to 50 wins. So nothing about them is really flashy. They just play hard. With regards to their passing stats, their league average in the passes that they make, they're 4th lowest in assists as a team, and they're the 3rd lowest in assist points created. With regards to their shooting stats, they're not that great shooting as well. They're 4th lowest in their catch and shoot per points as a team. So what we've really seen here is that they're really not great at shooting the basketball or passing the basketball. They excel at pull-up jump shots. They lead the league in pull-up field goal percentage, and they primarily work off of being an isolation-heavy basketball team.
I mean, we're really seeing a revival of like an old school team here, where they're going with a lot of it's guard play, it's mid-range shooting, and it's ISO basketball. One of the really interesting things to look at is that their guards are 5th in net rating over the course of the season compared to all the other teams. The Thunder have the 5th highest average player impact estimate, which is an NBA.com stat that is a aggregate stat that just tries to wrap up a player's performance into a single number. A lot of their players are individually making huge contributions to the game. And you can see this also in the way that they make their shots. One of the interesting things that you see is that they don't take that many threes. They're 23rd in 3-point field goal attempts per game, and they're 28th in the percent of the points that they've scored that have actually come from threes. They excel at getting easy shots, though, because the highest of the entire league, they have the highest percentage of their points coming from free throws. They're also not an elite defensive basketball team. They're 10th in defensive rating. It's above average, but it's not great. But what they're really good at is they're really good at not allowing easy baskets in terms of they give up the least amount of fast break points per game. They give up the 8th least amount points off turnovers and the 8th least second chance points, even though they're 15th in defensive rebounds per game and defensive rebounding percentage, which means that they're giving up a lot of rebounds, but they're not letting those offensive rebounds turn into second chance points.
Yeah, Nikhil, you're right. I mean, first of all, like you mentioned before, they're kind of like an old school basketball team, as we're seeing with regards to some of the statistics that you and I both pulled up. But also building off of the fact that they're not a bad defensive team, but they're not great either. But they're using their good defense to really capitalize in transition. They're 2nd in the league in driving points per game. They're using their advantage of having a really good pull-up jump shooting team to being 6th in the league in pull-up points per game. And obviously, like you said before, they know exactly how to manipulate their lineups based off of the skill sets that they have. Billy Donovan is doing a great job coaching them. They're relying on the veteran leadership of Chris Paul. And they also have some good defenders as well that they can use out on the perimeter. So Terrence Ferguson, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, both those guys are long, they're athletic, and they can really defend at a high rate as well. And of course, the interior presence of Steven Adams. So really turning good defense into great offense. They're not really shooting the 3 that much, as you said, but they're turning in easy buckets as well. And they're really doing good under the leadership of Chris Paul.
Yeah, it's really weird to see that the way that they score a lot of their points isn't on these normal fast break layup. It's a lot of this isolation pull-up jumpers, as you were talking about.
Yeah.
One of the weird things is that they don't actually get that many easy points. They are last in percentage of points coming from fast breaks and 19th in percentage of points coming off turnovers. So they're not just like forcing out the ball in defense, but 27th in assist percentage, 26th in field goals made, which are assisted, and 28th in assist ratio, which is basically the number of assists per thing that you do. So it's an old school isolation basketball team is what we're seeing here.
Yeah, absolutely. Old school. They're a scrappy team that plays hard, rely on veteran leaders like Gallinari and Chris Paul, and they're trending in the right direction. So it'll be exciting to see what they do in the second half. All right, Kevin, what do you have on the Miami Heat?
I think the Heat were in a similar boat with the Thunder, where they were only projected to win 43 games this year, but now halfway through the season, they've jumped up all the way to 53. So a whole 10-game jump in terms of win projection. Last year, they finished 10th in the East. Over the offseason, they added Jimmy Butler, which wasn't really that eye-opening. People thought that he was going to be more drama. They also lost Hassan Whiteside, who was their defensive anchor. So going into the season, there wasn't a lot of signs that the Heat were going to do as well as they did. But I think what really helped the Heat out this season so far was team basketball. Every single person, from rookies to their bench to the dynamic duo of Butler and Bam, everyone's contributing to help the Heat succeed this season so far.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic given that we just talked about the Thunder and how they're playing a lot of iso ball. The Heat are the opposite. About 64% of their baskets come off assists, which is 6th in the league. They're 3rd in the league in points off of screen assists. So they're running around Bam and some of their other big guys. And only 5% of their possessions end in isolation basketball. So like you said, it's a lot of team basketball. They're also shooting a lot of threes, led by Duncan Robinson, Goran Dragic, and Tyler Herro, who are all shooting above 39% from three. So they're overall the second best three-point shooting team in the league. So you can see how they're kind of the opposite of the Thunder offensively in terms of playing a lot of team basketball, trying to find that most efficient three-point shot that's open for these high percentage shooters.
Exactly. And another stat to add in is they're holding on to the ball more than any other team from when they inbound to when the shot gets released. And that has definitely helped Butler out a lot too. He's typically not known for his good shooting, but this year when he's on the court, the offensive rating on the team actually goes up because of all the other offensive weapons they have, so that the offense doesn't have to directly go through him. I think trading Hassan was actually one of the better decisions, because now instead of just having a center that can only wait for lobs or doing pick and roll, their offense can be ran through multiple players, especially Bam.
Yeah, I think the combo of Bam and Butler has been crucial. The other thing that both of them do is they like to get to the free throw line. And so a combination of that slow pace that the Heat play, plus those two getting to the line, they have the highest free throw rate in the game. And that helps them, slow the game down. They're not the best defensive team, but they're about 10th in the league. And then you saw at the trade deadline how they addressed that, going out and getting Iguodala, getting Jay Crowder. And that's what's going to carry them forward, moving as they go through the rest of the season and into the playoffs, is now they address that defense, and now it's going to be hard to score on them going forward.
Yeah, no doubt. First half of the season, we already saw that their bench was top 6 in scoring in the league, despite Bam and Butler leading the team in all 5 categories, and Butler being the leading scorer. He's actually only been the top scorer in 21 of the 51 games they've played, so less than half. And that really shows how every single player is truly contributing to their success.
Yeah, so it's really cool to take a look at both these teams. These are some of the teams that are overachieving so far this NBA season. Take a listen next week, and we're going to be talking about a couple teams that have not really performed up to their expectations so far. But regardless, with regards to the Heat and the Thunder, it's going to be really interesting to see how the second half of the season plays out for them, especially as they make a run towards the postseason. And hey, maybe even the NBA Finals.
That's a stretch, but
It's a stretch.
but I
we'll
mean,
see.
We'll give him a chance.
Maybe CP3 gets that ring after all. That'd be
I
that'd
don't
be
know
great.
about that. I
That'd
think the
be-
Miami Heat are much more likely to make it than.
Oh, they are. But
the
wouldn't that be great for Daryl Morey after making that trade? See Chris Paul go out and win? That would be brutal. Moving on. Now I feel like it's a pretty good time for me to address the biggest MLB scandal in recent memory, especially since it involves my favorite team in all of sports. This is going to be a part of a segment that we like to call Haters Corner. We only reserve Haters Corner for very, very special occasions. We don't bring it out very often, but when we do, we're going to make sure that we're fired up and we're ready to go, and we spew a lot of hate about who we're going to be talking about. So this is our first ever Haters Corner, so welcome to it. It's definitely something you're not going to miss, but it's going to be very clear who my hate is going to be spewed at for today's segment. So the Astros got caught stealing their opponent's pitcher's signs back in 2017, the year that they won the World Series, led to the harshest punishments the MLB has ever handed down to a team. As a result, the Astros fired both their manager, AJ Hinch, and their general manager, Jeff Luhnow. But what really has me annoyed is the way that AJ Hinch was perceived in his hour-long interview with MLB Network late last week. So he came out and he said that, this is his fault as a manager, as a, quote, leader of men that he probably used 25 times throughout that entire interview. It was his responsibility. He took all this blame. He went out and he said that the video monitor that they were using to track these pitchers to steal these signs, the catchers to steal these signs, he broke that monitor in the dugout twice. And that was his sign of essentially being against this whole sign stealing operation that the Astros have. To quote him from that interview, he said, "I am much more confident today than I was in 2017. Where I fell short is that I didn't believe that at the time." Are you serious? You think that you're more confident now? That's the best excuse that you could come up with? You were leading Justin Verlander, Dallas Keuchel, Lance McCullers, Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman. Those are pretty arrogant, big-headed guys. It's hard to lead those men if you're not confident in your ability. And you're going out and you're saying that you're not confident back in 2017 when you led this team to a World Series championship? George Springer in the first game of the World Series went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. He was batting leadoff for us. What'd you do? You decided to keep him in the leadoff spot against all the criticism that was coming at your way that said, George Springer should be moved down in the lineup. You didn't do it because you said you were a strong manager and you really believed in your players. Well, where is that now? I thought you said you were so strong. You weren't confident back then? Come on, AJ Hinch, don't lie to us, man. And then this is just basically a big ploy to make him look that he's loyal to his players, and it's worked. Former Colorado Rockies GM Dan O'Dowd said that he'd now hire Harch, quote, in a heartbeat, end quote. And if he's so loyal to his players, if he's such a great man, then why, when mentioned about the buzzers in this interview, he just deferred it to the MLB investigation? He couldn't even say that, no, we didn't use buzzers. You deferred it to the MLB investigation, which said that the Astros didn't use buzzers. He's not loyal. He's looking out for his own self. He wants to get back managing baseball. That's ultimately what's going to happen. But, dude, just be honest. You cheated. You got caught. You were part of that operation. You condone it. You were part of the terrible culture that existed in the Houston Astros organization, and you didn't do anything about it. Don't make excuses. You did it. Own up to it. And you're potentially going to get a job in the MLB again. But that really annoyed me. And real quick, it recently came out that former MLB pitcher Mike Bolsinger is suing the Astros because he said that, and I quote, the Astros cheating changed the course of his career. Now, this is what's going to get me super riled up. I mean, this guy was a nobody. Nobody knew who this guy even was. Let's get on some of these stats real quick. His career record was 8-19 over 4 years. 2014, no games against the Astros. He had a 5.5 ERA. 2015, no games against the Astros. 3.62 ERA. In 2016, no games against the Astros. His ERA was almost 7. And in 2017, he only pitched 2 games against the Astros, and he had a 6.3 ERA. I mean, come on, man. You had a 5.5 ERA coming into the Astros outing, and ultimately you left out with a 6.83 ERA. I'm not saying that the Astros didn't cheat. Yes, they cheated. But to blame the Astros as the only team to do this and they're the reason for your career fizzling out? What? What is wrong with you, dude?
Take some accountability. You can't really blame the Astros for your career fizzling out. This is a media ploy. He's trying to make the Astros seem worse than what they are. I'm done. That's all I've got to say. I'm sorry for the Astros and what they did. I know it's not my fault. They cheated. They got the punishments. But Mike Bolsinger, the Astros are not the reason why your MLB career has ended.
Shout out the intern who had the balls to walk into a meeting and go, I have a program called Codebreaker, and this is going to help us cheat. If I'm an intern, I'm not fucking doing something that's going against the rules of the game. That is ballsy.
Hey man, technology. We live in the 21st century, the digital age. We use technology wherever we can, right?
Oh, I'm shouting him out for having the balls, you know? That's solid, like, confidence in himself.
Well, that's how he got that job. He wasn't an intern for too long after that. All right, that's enough of that. I've talked about the Astros for too long. Let's hop into the NBA and talk about the All-Star game. Nick Hill, take this segment away.
So we're gonna do a little homage to our podcast name here. We're gonna play a game called Create a Burger, where what's gonna happen is each segment is gonna be two of us coming up with a description of a piece of the burger and what player from the All-Star game that we think fits into that piece of the burger. So for example, like a bun, a bottom bun, or the meat, or the lettuce. We're going to go through them. Two of us are going to give our arguments for why we think that a certain player fits a certain part of the burger, and then we're going to hop into
the other three voting on who they think they want in our communal burger. So at the end of this, we're going to end up with one burger, community voted, of course the community meaning the five of us, and let's hop into it. The first item on this is going to be the bottom bun. So, Jerry?
To me, bottom bun provide the stability to all the ingredients that you can hold at the burgers. So I decided to pick the player who is the most consistent. Jimmy Butler is among the most consistent player among all the All-Star players, and he is the leading offensive player in the Miami Heat. He is carrying the Miami Heat on offense. If you look at the on-court and off-court offensive rating for the Miami Heat, when he is on the court, he leads the team with 103.7, which is about the second in the league. But when he is off the court, the team offense declined to 106.7, which is around the 24th in the league. So their offense rely on Jimmy Butler a little bit, even though they have so many talent players. But Jimmy Butler is the main core of their offense. And I believe that the bottom bun should be someone like that, consistent and to provide stability to both the team and the burgers.
So the way that a bottom bun functions in terms of a burger is it holds up the rest of the ingredients. And so what I really want in this spot is I want the backbone of my team. And so I'm going to go for Rudy Gobert. You know the defensive stats. You know he's the reigning defensive player of the year. 13th in percentage of teams' rebounds, 10th in rebound percentage, meaning he's 10th in the amount of rebounds he wins over another player. He's 16th in defensive rebounding percentage. He's 13th in effective field goal percentage. But this is what I want to say. Your bottom bun is not going to be the number one thing. If you just get a bottom bun, you're not going to be happy with your burger. You're just going to be like, it's some toast. What you want, you see a player who is able to hold up your team, 5th in block, 7th in block percentage, but can't do the actual scoring for you. One of the interesting things about Rudy Gobert, 72% of his field goals are assisted, 76.6% of them are in the paint, and the rest are from free throws. And the worst part is, 6%, only 6% of his field goals that he attempts are from more than 5 feet away from the rim.
Great arguments, both of you. But I agree with Nikhil here. The backbone of the burger, I want Rudy Gobert supporting my burger.
I'm going to go with Jimmy Butler, bruh. So bottom bun, bruh. He's got to be the bottom bun. He keeps the All-Star team together. It's good to have a nice, versatile playmaker. He can play kind of point guard, shooting guard, small forward. If you played it to Mike D'Antoni, he's a center, but I think he's a bottom bun better than Rudy Gobert.
I got to go Rudy for the bottom bun. I think he's the backbone. If you make Jimmy Butler the backbone, the bottom bun might be ripped up and all that sauce will be oozing out.
The bottom bun's gonna be like sticking through the rest of the components.
Hey, research said you
Ripping
can
them
flip
apart.
the bottom bun upside down when you eat the burger. That's just supposed to be the right way, so you don't really need the bottom bun to be at the bottom.
Is the bottom bun the top bun then? Question mark. Anyway, let's move on.
So continuing on with a burger, the next step in making a burger is putting on some fresh, juicy lettuce on that burger. But the thing about the lettuce is, honestly, it doesn't really make or break the burger. And so when I'm picking a player to be the lettuce of our burger, I'm looking at Kyle Lowry. He's there. He's nice to have on your team. Like, unlike Serge last week, I do think Kyle Lowry deserves to be an all-star. But if you're picking somebody out of the all-stars, he's kind of just there. He's got the lowest player efficiency rating out of all all-stars at 17.9. Most of these guys are above 20. And he just doesn't really get me excited. I'm not going to, no one would complain about having Kyle Lowry on your team. No one's going to complain about having lettuce on a burger, but it's not going to excite you. Kyle Lowry is not someone that's going to really drive a team. He's done well on the Raptors, helping them get to the playoffs, but Spicy P is the main guy on that team. Same way that the meat is the main person in the burger. The lettuce is there to support it, and that's what Kyle Lowry is good at.
Yeah, well, sure, Kyle Lowry is kind of just there, but when you're describing lettuce, the words that I'm really going to latch onto, Phil, that you said were just there. I'm going to pick a guy that literally, I bet you 90% of people didn't even know was on the All-Star team, Domantas Sabonis. He is the epitome of just there for the All-Star team. Like, look, he's good. He's averaging 18 and 12. He's on a playoff team, and that's great, right? But with regards to win shares, he's 16th in the league, and the only all-stars that he's above are, as you mentioned before, Kyle Lowry, who I will give him credit, he's missed time due to injury, and the other all-star that he's above in win shares is Kawhi Leonard, who likes to just take games off every now and then. So he's not really struggling, but he's not really all-star worthy there. His player efficiency rating is bad for an all-star player. It's actually 44th in the NBA. Who's that behind? That's behind a lot of guys that didn't even make the all-star team, like a Bradley Beal, Karl Anthony Towns, Andre Drummond, Nikola Vucevic, and DeMar DeRozan. Additionally, he's good on defense. His defensive win share is 2.6. His defensive box plus minus is 2.4. So he's good on defense. He's good on offense, but he's kind of just there. He's like lettuce. If you didn't have him on the All-Star team, no one complains, but it's nice to have a good, skilled big on the All-Star team, just like a lettuce can provide you some nice crunch.
Interesting arguments from the both of you, but to me, I like the addition of Domantas Sabonis. I don't think Kyle Lowry really needs to be there.
I agree with Nikhil. I vote for Sabonis. He's really not very famous, but he's just there.
My vote goes to Sabonis. There's a reason he was picked last.
There you go. Domantas Sabonis. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin understands what I'm saying.
So here's the main thing in the burger, the thing that you want to remember, the meat. We're going to look at a couple players who are going to fit the bill of the meat here, but I am going to give my vote to Luka because I think that not only do you want the meat to be versatile, you want it to be doing everything for the burger. If you take away the rest of the components of the burger, you want to be able to remember the meat. But you also want it to be flashy, and you want it to wow you. Luka can do everything. You don't need the rest of the team. I mean, obviously basketball is a team game, and you need 5 players, but he's 5th in points. He's 1st in rebounds, 2nd in assists if you consider him a guard. if you consider him a forward, he's second in points, he's 12th in rebounds, he's second in assists. He scores 35.5% of his team's points when he's on the floor, which is fourth in the league, third out of all All-Stars. Harden and Giannis are ahead of him. He grabs 30% of his team's rebounds when he's on the floor, which is fifth out of the All-Stars. And he dishes out 54% of the team's assists when he's on the floor, which is second behind LeBron, fourth in the league, but the other two who are up there are like, they play like 5 minutes a game. The other thing, the flash that he has, is 77% of the three-point field goals that he takes and makes are unassisted, which is fourth in the league, which means he's taking a bunch of pull-up threes. That's what you want from the meat. You want someone who's 12th in unassisted field goal percentage, meaning they're just pulling up, they're getting there, and they're scoring. And people will say, of course, that, you know, Giannis can dunk, but Giannis gets a lot of his points in fast breaks and off turnovers. He's first in fast break points and second in points off turnovers. Luka has almost a third of both. So I want the flash, I want the pizzazz, I want Luka.
So here's the thing about the meat. You kind of described what it is, and that it's the most important part. And when it comes to the most important, how about having the most valuable player be the meat of this team, a.k.a. Giannis? Giannis is the MVP this year. He's at Basketball Reference already has him at a 62% chance to win MVP, and we're only halfway through the season. That tells you how much he is dominating this year. He is leading the league in win shares per 48, box plus minus, value over replacement. I could keep going on about what he's leading the league in because he's the best player in the league, and that's what I want leading my burger. I want something that's going to make people remember this burger. It's hard to forget watching Giannis play basketball. For a guy that tall, the way he moves on the court, the way he weaves in and out, getting to a dunk, Giannis is the most valuable player. He's the guy I want leading this burger. He's carrying a Bucks team. They're going to be the third team ever to win 70 games, and the rest of the team isn't that good. I mean, they're good, but you compare them to the other teams that won 70 games, they're nothing without Giannis. And so that's the guy I want leading my burger. That's why he's the meat.
Convincing arguments from both, but when I think of powerhouse, I think of Giannis. I got to go with Giannis.
You know, when I think of meat, it's like slam dunk. It must be good. So, like, I'm going with Giannis.
Yeah, sorry, Nikhil. When I think of the meat of a burger, I want basically the best part, what makes a burger, what makes the NBA, what makes the MVP. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Nobody wants any flash from their burger.
Giannis adds flash, come on.
Yeah.
Giannis doesn't add flash. I just said he scores a bunch of turnovers, points off turnovers, and points off fast break.
He can dunk from the free throw line.
The flash of the burger is the sauce.
Threes.
The flash of the burger is in the sauce. It's not in the meat.
Come on, Phil.
All right, this next part of the burger is the cheese. Cheese can sometimes elevate your burger, or for cases with people who have lactose intolerant, it could really ruin your burger. So here we're describing someone who is sort of a make or break inconsistent player. This player could be really good for their team, but at times not so good. The player that I am putting in as the cheese is Kemba Walker. When you look at Kemba Walker's scoring average this year, if you take his best scoring average from his best half of the games so far this season and to that worst average from his worst half of the games, that's a difference between 24 points per game and 9 points per game. That comes out to the fifth most inconsistent player of players who have played more than 20 games and more than 10 minutes per game. And those numbers drastically affect his team as well. When he's scoring more than 15 points a game, the team's win percentage is at about 80%. And then when he scores less than 15 points per game, it drops by 30% and down to 50%. And so I think Kemba Walker is the cheese.
I don't agree with you. I think the cheese of definition of inconsistent is James Harden. This man Out of 49 games, he shot below 40% of 17 games. That's quite a lot of games. The other rest of the game, he shoot above 40%, and the Rockets are still winning because he's actually still scoring a lot of points because of free throws. But he is the most important guy on the Rockets. When he scored more than 30 points, his team won 81% of the game. But when he scored less than 30 points, his team only won 44% of the game. When he scored less than 20 points, the Rockets only win 33% of the game. The cheese is extremely important to a burger, especially someone who loves the burgers. Harden perfectly fit that scenario. It might be inconsistent because of lactose intolerant and he decided to score 40%, but like his free throw will cover that for field goal percentage and bring the best out of the cheese and still make sure the cheese of the burger tastes good.
All right. Well, Jerry, I couldn't disagree with you more. I don't know how you're calling James Harden the most inconsistent player in the All-Star game when the guy's averaging 35, 7, and 6.5. I bet you 99.999% of the NBA would love to be called inconsistent after putting up those numbers and being in the race for the MVP yet again. So I'm going to go with Kevin and say Kemba Walker is the cheese.
I don't know. I think Jared made a pretty convincing argument. Inconsistency is about the deviation from the mean. It's not about the mean. And so, yes, he's putting up good numbers overall, but if they're fluctuating wildly from game to game, that is what I'm looking for not what I'm looking for in my cheese. Obviously, I want my cheese to be good every time, but sometimes you get a bad piece, and sometimes James Harden goes 1 of 18 from 3. That's my cheese, James Harden.
I gotta say, when I look at cheese, I'm looking at if it's bad, it's gonna destroy the burger eating experience, and if it's good, it can take it to another level. And I think Harden fits the bill here. When he's off, the team is entirely off, and when he's on,
Russell Westbrook
you can
doesn't
see
think
them.
so.
Hey, Russell Westbrook thinks that he gets a triple-double every time, so it's a different case, right? But the big thing with Harden is if he's on, you can see a 6-6 roster beating the Lakers, and if he's off, as Phil said, 1 of 18 from 3.
All right. The last component of the burger that we're going to be talking about today is going to be the top bun. So we said that the top bun is essentially a good locker room guy. It's going to hold the team together just like the top bun holds a hamburger together or a burger together. And may not be the best player, like the top bun isn't the best part of the burger, but it's instrumental in keeping it together. And it's definitely a key component of the burger. I don't know anybody that eats a hamburger without the top bun. So for that, I am going to go with Damian Lillard. So Damian Lillard's having a phenomenal year. He's averaging 38 and 4. His player efficiency rating is 5th in the league. He leads the league in offensive win shares at 8.5 over James Harden, who's sitting at 7.4. And he's second in total win shares to James Harden, apparently a model of inconsistency, at 9.5 versus 9.1. He also leads the league in minutes per game at 37.1. It's always good to have a top bun that's sturdy and not going to fall apart. Damian Lillard fits that bill. But with regards to not being the best player, his defense, to say it's not good is an understatement. It's actually pathetic. His defensive win shares is at 0.6, which is actually the exact same as Trae Young, who many believe is the worst defender in the league. And just to put that in comparison, James Harden's defensive win shares is actually at 2.4. So not the best player because defense is a part of basketball, but he's a very, very good player. A really good locker room guy. All his teammates really like him. He has a great relationship with CJ McCollum. Nurkic, he's loyal to Portland. So I'm going to go with Damian Lillard as the top bun.
I am going to have to go with Chris Paul here as the top bun. We talked about his Thunder earlier, about how they were surprisingly good this year, and Chris Paul had a lot to do with that. He's a team leader, and he's a veteran presence on this team where the average age of the roster is 10 years younger than he is himself. He's a distributor. He's not the most important part of the team, is clearly shown by him not even being one of the top 3 scorers on the team. but he is still a leader, distributor, showing that he's doing whatever he can to help out the team. And that's evident by him playing shooting guard a lot more than he's ever had in his career. And the top bun, he's the glue of the team. And one stat that shows that he doesn't crack under the pressure is he leads the league right now in clutch points with 103 for most points scored in the final 5 minutes of either OT or the fourth quarter. And so Chris Paul is the reason that this team is doing so well this year. And if you take Chris Paul out as the top bun, you don't have a burger.
I gotta go with Kevin here. I don't want my bun to be taking the spotlight off the other parts of my burger. I don't want my top bun to be scoring 61 or 59 or 60. I'm going with CP3.
You know what? I'm going with Damian Lillard. Man is sturdy. He played a lot of minutes. I want my top one to be sturdy and,
And
make sure I
old.
hold up. I can hold the burger and make sure I
played a
can
lot
keep the
of
pieces
minutes?
together. Chris Paul is kind of old, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
you don't
know
want
if I
an
can hold my
old top
burgers over
bun.
there.
Exactly.
Yeah, but where was he going with he's played a lot of minutes?
I'm with Kevin here. I really liked your point that you want it to be stirred. Like you want your top bun to hold the burger together. You don't want it sliding all over the place. You want some consistency. You want a team leader. That is Chris Paul. He's gonna hold this team together, make sure that the burger is sticking together to the last bite.
All right, guys. Well, that was a lot of really good points, and we really like a burger that sticks together, which is fantastic to think about until we recap our burger and we find out that we've got James Harden and Chris Paul on our hamburger together. So everything that we said about keeping the team together and keeping the burger together, it's just out the window. Our burger has now turned into hash. It's a mess. It's fallen apart.
Hey, imagine if we had Jimmy on this team.
Well, Jimmy Harden and Chris Paul was gonna be a thing on the Rockets, so that might have worked out. But Harden and Chris Paul,
would have worked out.
Well, I guess we'll never know. But I'm just gonna recap real quick what we've got for our burger. So with regards to the bottom bun, we said it's Rudy Gobert. Our lettuce is another big at Domantas Sabonis. Our meat is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Our cheese is James Harden. And our top bun is Chris Paul. So that is our NBA All-Star Build-A-Burger. Lastly, we're going to hop into our predictions segment where we make our 3 predictions related to sporting events going on that week. Like we've talked about before, we're keeping track of everyone's results, and whoever is in last place is going to have to undergo a punishment of eating a spoonful of Vegemite, which you can catch live and full coverage of on our Twitter and Instagram at Not5Guys. To update you all on our leaderboard, right now Nick Hill and Kevin are in the lead at 4-2. Jerry is at 3-3. I'm sitting at 2-4, and Phil is in last place at 1-5.
Rip our betting hotline expert.
Exactly. Well,
hey, not Kevin made some money last weekend.
I was just gonna say, can we please give a round of applause to Phil for basically saving not Kevin's life and his wife's life as well? That was well done, Phil. Well done.
For those of you who don't know what this is, you should tune into our previous episode.
Episode 2 covers this segment. All right. So our first prediction for this week is the winner of the Celtics versus Clippers game on Thursday night.
I'm going with the Celtics. They have been really hot recently. They're on a 7-game win streak, and Clippers have not been playing that well recently. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games, and they quite to choke a lot. And you don't know if Paul George is sitting that day. You don't know if Kawhi is sitting that day. So I'm taking the Celtics.
I have to agree with Jerry there. Celtics are on a pretty long win streak right now, so I think they're going to be able to topple the Clippers on Thursday.
I'm taking the Clippers here. I think that trading for Marcus Morris might finally get some dog, as they say, into some of the players and actually have them, playing like Kawhi hopefully plays.
Exactly.
So I think if the Clippers have all their guys on the floor working together, they're so rugged defensively, and they'll do anything to beat you. and they have the skill in Kawhi and PG to take you out. So I'm taking the Clippers.
Yeah, I'm with Nick Hill here. I got the Clippers. I think given that we're coming up on the All-Star break, that's when Kawhi is going to take his time off. That's when PG's going to get some rest. This is a big game going into the break, and I think they're going to be at full capacity on Thursday and get the W at home.
Yeah, I agree. I think everybody's going to be playing last game before the All-Star break. Give me the Clippers. All right, next we have the winner of the Team World versus the Team USA game on Friday night. This kicks off our NBA All-Star Weekend game. So who does everybody have?
I have to go with Team USA. Just looking at their roster, they have so many offensive firepowers on their team. And when I look at Team World, all I see is Luka. So I have to go with Team USA.
Even though I gave a riveting argument for Luka Doncic just 5 to 10 minutes ago, I'm going to have to take Team US here too. The combination of Ja Morant and Zion Williamson hasn't happened since the 7th grade, well, when they were in the 7th grade. And I can't wait to see it again on an NBA floor.
Yeah, I'm on the chalk here. Team USA is just too stacked. You're talking about Ja and Zion. That's going to be exciting to watch. They got Trae Young shooting 40-footers. He's probably going to hit at least 5 of them. The rest of the Team USA is just much more exciting. And just looking at the world roster, some of these guys, they're not even averaging 10 points a game. They're not up to par with Team USA.
Yeah, despite the fact that Team USA does not have Kevin Porter Jr. on their team, the biggest snub of All-Star Weekend. KPJ, we know you deserve a spot on that team. I'm still going to go with Team USA, though. Zion
Devin
Williamson.
Booker's coming for you.
Yeah, right.
For
Well,
calling him not the biggest snub.
Wow.
yeah, I don't really care what Devin Booker has to say. I'm riding with Kevin Porter Jr. no matter what. So, but still, I'm going to pick Team USA against the Team World this weekend.
Wow. Everyone is picking Team USA. You know what? I'm also picking Team USA. like, why would I pick Team World? They're just not good. And I'm still on that Zion amazing train. So, Team USA it is.
All right, our final matchup is the winner of Team Giannis versus Team LeBron, the winner of the 2020 NBA All-Star Game. Who does everyone have?
I mean, I think everybody is going to be going the same way here. Giannis, you let me down here, man. You could have drafted way better. I have to take Team LeBron.
See, you say that, but I'm sitting at last place in predictions. This is where I'm going bold. I got Team Giannis. Yes, he's not a good GM, but that's going to make this team all the more motivated. They're going to win this one for Kobe. Look at Team Giannis to win the All-Star game.
If we're talking about a team that's going to win it for Kobe, you're not going to pick Team LeBron? I mean, LeBron James is the guy that's single-handedly going to put this on his shoulders, all his teammates. He's got a lot of LA guys with James Harden on his team. He's got Russell Westbrook as well. So give me Team LeBron in the All-Star game. It should be really fun to watch. Giannis, you're not a good GM. You have way too much loyalty to be a good GM. Just look at what Daryl Morey did to Gerald Green, what Masai Ujiri did to DeMar DeRozan. Loyalty doesn't come with being a good GM. Give me Team LeBron.
Hey, LeBron didn't play well the last game. He was memorable for Kobe. The Lakers didn't win that game. I mean, LeBron's team is pretty good, but I think Giannis' team has a chance. But I'm still picking LeBron's team to win. Why pick the Giannis? He's not a good GM, and he's just not a good GM. And I don't think the team will fit and win the game.
Jerry's just giving us the carrot and the stick over and over again.
I'm going to have to go with Team LeBron. He has 3 of the top 4 MVP candidates, 7 of the top 9, and 10 of the top 15. I don't know what Giannis was doing when he was drafting. I guess he just didn't want to pick MVP candidates.
Yeah, he's trying to win MVP himself. Giannis got this.
Well, we'll see. NBA All-Star Weekend is always really, really fun and exciting to watch. We've got the skills challenge, the dunk contest, all that good stuff. So it'll be exciting to see how all that pans out. But with that, that is the end of our show for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This is our 3rd episode. We loved every episode so far, so thanks for joining us along for this ride. Please feel free to comment below. Let us know what you liked, didn't like, anything you want us to add. We definitely appreciate all the feedback that you have. But with that, we'd once again like to thank you so much for listening and hope to catch you next week on our next episode of the Not Five Guys podcast.